Police Files Missing Persons Diary. In 1987, a building agency dismantled the old Renfield farm. It had a dark history of violence and horror. The farm was owned by a family of serial killers in the 60s until a shootout with the police. The police shot a gas tank, which started a horrific fire in their home, and all that was left were bones. Scattered around the farm were bones, which the police didn't know if they were human or animal. The family was reported numerous times by passers-by as animals without eyes or legs were seen being paraded around by the father. That was only the start of what the family did while living there. The builders moved their equipment and machines into the property a week before demolition. However, before demolition started, a potential property buyer surveyed the land and was interested in its brutal past. The buyer walked around the farmhouse alone until he started running back to his car, screaming. He got in his car and sped off but was never heard from again, leaving the landowner confused. The potential buyer was found mutilated, with no eyes or legs. The week started as scheduled, and the builders began arriving early, but they had to wait for the boss to arrive. He arrived 10 minutes late to find his annoyed colleagues waiting. The crew had over 20 people, so the boss registered who was present. Much to his surprise, 3 of his most loyal workers were missing. He carried on dishing out the tasks to 3 groups. Group A was to start clearing the barn. Group B was to start demolition on an old barn at the back of the property. And Group C began on the main house. They all had radio comms, and the boss checked in on them every 30 minutes. 30 minutes passed, and the boss radioed Group A, and there was no reply. He radioed the other groups to see if his radio was not working, and they all responded. He walked over to the barn, which was empty. Nothing had been touched, and it looked like no one had been there in years, apart from a few drops of blood. The blood was fresh, not dried. The boss radioed Group B, no reply. He tried radioing Group C, but there was no reply. The boss knew the history and was terrified and ran to his car. He got in his car and drove up a dirt path to leave, but he was stopped. His workers were all dead and dismembered, lying in a row in the middle of the road, and standing in front of them was the Renfield family. They had a sick grin, and there was more of them than in the 70s. Suddenly, the boss was dragged out of the car and hit over the back of the head. The next time he woke up, he was in the hospital with no eyes or legs. The boss was also found with a tattoo stating Renfields never died. The police assaulted the farm with airborne bombs and drone explosives. All the bodies of the family were recovered, and then the police figured out how all those years ago they escaped. A series of tunnels under the property filled with the bodies each mile. The officers who cleared the scene all left their jobs and never returned home. But they filled in this report, which is how we know so much. No one knows what happened to the officers, and the government doesn't acknowledge the officers disappearing. That was years ago, but the local government is set to build a house there on the farm grounds for the new mayor. The mayor insists he lives there. The mayor's name is Rick Narenfields. You see the name, and what it is hidden in it. I can't let what happened to my dad happen to anyone else. I know so much because I'm the boss's son, and history will not repeat itself. Missing boy's diary entry entered January 15th, 2018. Went missing January 16th, 2018.